Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Over 2015, Star Citizen has hit a variety of milestones, updates and breakthroughs. Today we're going to talk about some of the major Star Citizen 2015 developments and releases. For the first half of 2015, we didn't actually have that much in the way of big releases, but there was a lot of development on Squadron 42 and other areas of the game that was kind of secret at the time. So let's go through some of them. In January, we saw more public usage of the PTU servers to help test Arena Commander patch 1.01. And this was also shown throughout the year, where the PTU became much more commonplace. Many users were given access to the PTU or public test universe throughout the year. This is basically the test servers for patches and versions of Star Citizen Alpha before they go onto the live servers for more general consumption. This was an important and useful step, making the PTU usage more common, allowing potential versions of Star Citizen Alpha to be tested earlier and by more eyes, thus allowing for more iteration and a more efficient development process, at least where the alpha releases of the game are concerned. And yes, some of these PTU tests were super crashy and super buggy, although CIG did say that the PTU servers are not for the faint of heart. In March, we saw the PAX East presentation. This was heavily orientated towards first-person shooter elements of the game. We saw a group of Marines fighting with pirates on the Gold Horizon station in a mixture of zero-G and on-foot combat. And then we also saw Satterball, where two teams of Marines play an Ender's Game type ball game in zero-G with stun guns and grappling hooks. This was supposed to herald the soon release of the FPS module, which, spoilers, this iteration of Star Marine was and is still delayed. CIG instead choosing to later roll the FPS in its first iteration anyway into Star Citizen Alpha 2.0 later in the year, but we'll come to that later. Towards the end of March, Star Citizen 1.1 was released, updating a lot of under-the-hood aspects of the game, 64-bit conversion, better character rigs and animations, as well as adding landing to the game and dynamic damage to ships, starting with the Gladius. This also added the rec system to the game. Players could now earn rental equipment credits by playing the game, allowing them to rent ships and equipment in-game. This smashed a lot of the notion that Star Citizen Alpha was pay to win, as it allowed players to rent the ship and items that they wanted and then compete in PvP or races. Star Citizen also had a name-changing convention with its future releases. Star Citizen wouldn't be Arena Commander 1. Whatever anymore, but now Star Citizen Alpha version whatever. This was for two major reasons. One, there was a lot of confusion about the state of Star Citizen and its various modules. It had lots of different names, and those names kept on changing, and they were referred to lots of different names by people, including the devs. Lots of confusion there. But also, Star Citizen was starting to come together. New modules and mechanics were about to be released, all merged together as a single game. Star Citizen is the sum of its modules, and it was about to do a lot of addition. Chris goes to London for a motion capture shoot. From March 31st to July 3rd, Chris stays in London at Ealing Studios, completing the principal performance, audio recording, and motion capture for Squadron 42, working with a selection of top A-class actors. Everything at this time is very hush-hush, and it won't be until October until we really started to see the fruits of this motion capture shoot. In May, we got an interactive tutorial mode added to the game. It had voice acting, scripted sequences, and was actually pretty damn useful to showing people how to actually play the game. The same patch that added this tutorial, though, also had some pretty awful rubber banding issues in multiplayer that were at least eventually partially fixed. During this time period as well, there were some issues with game balance, but it's an iterative process and game balance is always changing with Star Citizen. Gamescom in August, so from August onwards, Star Citizen's development and releases really came into their own. At the start of August, we had Star Citizen's Gamescom demo. They showed off the new social module that was about to be released, but also the multi-crew gameplay possibilities that will be coming out in the future. A group of players fly to a derelict Retaliator and get it back online, but are intercepted by another group in a constellation Andromeda that is also there to claim that prize. This is the first time that I generally saw the game come together. We get to see some of the beautiful music that Pedro composed. We get to see an Idris fly past. This was genuinely mind-blowing to me. It was a taste of the game that it seemed so far away at the beginning of 2015. In August, that all started to change. And later in August, Star Citizen Alpha 1.2 was released. This added the social module or ArcCorps Area 18 into the game. For the first time in a long time, we had something truly new in Star Citizen, an explorable on-foot planet location with players to interact with. The incredibly high quality of the environment was staggering, but was still limited really in what you could explore. There wasn't too much there. That, again, didn't stop players from exploring where they weren't supposed to, glitching through walls, finding invisible elevators, parkouring their way through various bugs. By September, the Community Hub had been added to the RSI website, allowing content providers to post up their videos, pictures and articles and more on the Star Citizen website. And also, the Issue Council had been implemented, allowing players to report and prioritise bugs, enabling a more streamlined development process, and also giving more power into the hands of the actual players. On October 10th, CitizenCon, an exclusively Star Citizen-based event, was put on in Manchester, England. During the live presentation, they released an interactive star map that was integrated with the RSI website, enabling players to interact with Star Citizen lore in a totally new way. We saw the Admiral Bishop speech taken from one of the first scenes of the single-player experience, Squadron 42. It shows off some of the staggering fidelity of the game, and Gary Oldman's performance as Admiral Bishop. Some of the facial tech animation here is superbly amazing, coming together to produce an amazing trailer or scene for the game. Later in the presentation, they showed off more of that tech, including dynamic pupil dilation, characters' eyes reacting to light based on their environment. And let's also not forget, we got to see footage of the baby PU, which would later be known as Star Citizen Alpha 2.0 Port Olisar. Here, Star Citizen had shown us that it was pushing the boundaries and delivering what it set out to do, what it said it was going to do. There was something else major here as well. The other actors that were working on Star Citizen Squadron 42 were revealed. Amongst them, Mark Hamill playing Steve Colton and John Rhys-Davies playing Randall Graves, a former friend of his. There was a lot of behind-the-scenes footage of the motion capture shoot that they were recording previously in the year, and we got to see some of the actors' performances there too. It instantly validated those 3 months of motion capture that Chris had started at the end of March, and we also got to see the Morrow Tour, one of the first scenes in Squadron 42 where you're given a tour of the Stanton and Idris frigate. There were a lot of motion capture and audio work done with this in-game setting on the Morrow Tour, and it's the first kind of iteration that we've seen of an interactive Squadron 42 experience in the gameplay setting. Also at this time, a referral system was added to the game, giving players rewards for referring new players to Star Citizen. This helped Star Citizen gain a lot more momentum and a lot more player accounts. Later in October, we had the post-merge patch. This represented the merging together of all of the CIG Studios development streams into a single package, and in turn gave us Star Citizen Alpha 1.3, where basically all of the back-end structure was there for future patches and releases. Now, anytime a module was updated, everyone could basically reap the rewards and benefits in a much quicker fashion. Improvements to the engine would be rolled out for everyone. It did also expand on ArcCorps Area 18, as well as add a couple of new weapons and mounts. In November, we had the anniversary livestream, which showed off some more of the behind-the-scenes stuff. It gave us some more information about Squadron 42 and Mark Hamill's contribution, but showed gameplay from Star Citizen 2.0 Alpha, which was amazing. And in December, Star Citizen Alpha 2.0 was released, enabling us for the first time to move about Port Olisar, Crusader, complete missions, fly in multi-crew ships with friends, participate in first-person shooter gameplay, explore and experience the true first iteration of what the PU, the persistent universe, might be like. This patch added so much actual gameplay and changed everything. The new flight model was in there too, allowing quantum travel to distant points in that sector, as well as precision, SCM and cruise modes to be used at will. The PTU release of this, though, was hellish and full of bugs, with crashes every few minutes on the server. The live release, though, still had some bugs, but was much, much better. And we saw that done relatively quickly. We did see a lot of iterations of these patches. This was good to see. This was good to see the PTU used in this way. But bugs or not, it's what a lot of players wanted. Proof of what the game was promised to be, now into their hands. And it didn't look so far away either. The actual release of 2.0 just made me especially feel the game isn't too far away from launch. The core mechanics were being fleshed out, and we could all see what was working and what was intended and how it was supposed to work. But the patch also added in multi-crew, Retaliator and Constellation Andromeda, as well as an entirely new EMP weapon mechanic from the Avenger Warlock. This was all pretty cool. And in December, Star Citizen hit the milestone landmark of $100 million in crowdfunding, cementing its claim as the most crowdfunded thing of all time. Also in December, we got the holiday live stream. We got to see the massive interior that was the Javelin Capital Destroyer. The Starfarer got shown off in all its glory too. This is a massive fuel-hauling vessel. John Rhys-Davies was interviewed, and a lot more info was released about his contribution to Star Citizen. But there was something quite amazing that they showed here, and I can't state how amazing I thought it was, to be honest. They had cracked the procedurally generated planet tech. So they had a Cutlass fly into the atmosphere of Delmar, which is a large asteroid, which is also known as the Nix landing zone. And this was procedurally generated, the atmosphere and the planet. This is amazing. This is going to allow us unprecedented exploration in a high fidelity universe. It's going to be pretty awesome. We're going to have to see exactly how it gets fully implemented, but we will see more of Delmar in the near future. And the last release of the year was Star Citizen Alpha 2.1 on the PTU, the public test universe. This was released to us and it gave us various bug fixes that were overlooked in 2.0. Also adding the now flyable Freelancer, making the Saber hangar ready, and making EVA physicalized, though that was later removed in a hotfix as it needs some more testing and fixing. CIG have now started more rapid releases, and want more time-based content releases. The idea here is with their release strategy, it's going to be less feature-driven and more date-driven. Their goal to release a new update every month. So in January, we'll have Star Citizen Alpha 2.2. And many features that would be put in will be removed if they're not ready. They're just going to get what's ready out, and they're not going to worry about holding patches back if something isn't ready. Over 2015, Star Citizen has achieved many things in its development and across its website and player base. The Robert Space Industries website has served over 178 million page views, with over 9.5 million visitors in 2015. Citizens have downloaded more than 30 petabytes of content this year. 80,000 backers have explored Crusader in 2.0 in its first week of launch. The development team has created 16,503 tasks in 2015 and resolved over 15,000 of them. Developers have made 204,716 pre-force check-ins and change lists. The QA has generated over 17,000 bug tickets this year, and bug smashers have since resolved almost 12,000 of those. Star Citizen has over 1,147,000 player accounts and almost $105 million in crowdfunding. Star Citizen has achieved much in 2015, and as we move into 2016, it promises to achieve a lot more. But we'll save that for another video. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. It's very appreciated. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help me. And I will see you in the verse.